So now, I'd like to welcome onto the stage Helen Latham. She's the Senior Accounts Manager and Ready-to-Wear of the Lycra Company. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, good morning, everybody. So like Michael, I work for a big fibre producer, and the Lycra Company, we make Lycra, a bit like Coca-Cola makes Coke, and we also make speciality polyesters, which are Coolmax and Thermalite. They are used, Coolmax for the cooling fabrics and Thermalite for warming fabrics, but the main fibre we use for denim and for the denim industry is Lycra. We're a global company, so we have factories, 6 factories all over the world. So to start off with, what on earth is Lycra? So Lycra is, as Michael was saying, they're natural fibres. Lycra and polyester are man-made fibres. So they're made literally from oil. And it was invented in DuPont, which was our father company many years ago in 1958, basically to replace rubber in women's corsetry. So people were using bones in their corsetry, then they used rubber, and they were looking for something that didn't degrade like rubber, and that was the invention of Lycra. Lycra is a brand, so like Hoover is a brand for a vacuum cleaner, Lycra is a brand for elastane. The amazing thing about Lycra is it's incredibly stretchy. So if you take a little bit of Lycra, it will stretch to 6 times its length, and it will come back again. And not only will it do it once, it will just keep doing it, time and time again. But it looks and feels a bit like rubber. So you never see it on its own. You don't find a Lycra fabric, you don't find a Lycra garment, all those things about mammals riding Lycra on their bicycles. It's a fibre. You never, ever find it on its own. It's always mixed with nylon, cotton, or other fibres. And what it does is give that strength and stretch and recovery. We also have another stretchy fibre called Lycra T400. It's a bit of a Frankenstein's daughter of polyester and elastane. It's a stretchy polyester. And we also use that in denim as well. It's not as stretchy as Lycra, but by goodness, it can come back again. So I've just put that up there because if you start looking at your composition labels, you might see elasto multi-ester in there. That's what that is, a stretchy polyester. So why am I even on this stage talking about denim when I'm talking about a stretchy fibre? Basically, rough and tough denim became stretchy because tight-fitting jeans are very uncomfortable. I'm wearing a very loose pair of jeans today, so I can move around in it without it being uncomfortable. But if you start putting something that's tighter and tighter against your body, it starts to get uncomfortable, unless you put some stretch in it. Our skin actually moves about 50% when we're moving around. So if you start having garments that are actually in contact with your skin, they do have to move, otherwise you'd be really uncomfortable. So what I love is when fashion meets technology. And the fashion for stretch denim basically started here in London. It was the punks who were wearing very tight jeans, and they couldn't get them on. They couldn't get them on or over their feet. So the first ever pair of stretch jeans were legendary, made by apparently Gloria Vanderbilt. The fabric came from Japan, and it was the Japanese who have a great history in denim making that invented stretch denim. So I'm going to geek you out a little bit, but not too much. I'm sure you've learnt about textiles in your lectures. Woven fabrics, and denim tends to be a woven fabrics, all have warps and wefts. And in denim, the warp is what was talked about earlier. That's what gets dyed, and that's blue. And the weft goes across the inside, and that tends to be white. This is my geeky page, but I'll try not to geek you out too much. How do you make any fabric a stretch fabric? So you've got your warp and you've got your weft. To make it into a stretch fabric, they literally open the yarns out on the beam. So instead of having them all side by side, they open them out. And then what you do is you stretch your Lycra, because it's stretchy, that's what it does. It's wrapped in cotton, and you put that, a bit like you'd put a stretched out rubber band, across the weft. And then as that comes off the loom, what does a stretchy thing want to do when it's let go? It wants to come back again. So you start off with a wide fabric because you've opened all the yarns up, and at the end, that stretch fibre will make it come back again. And then you've got a fabric that you can do that with. And that is any stretch woven fabric. That's how they make them. And you can play around with how many ends you have, how much tension you put in the Lycra, but that's what gets your stretchy fabric. And in the 1970s, when punks were wearing them, it was about 20% stretch. But if you want a skinny pair of jeans, I've seen 100% fabrics. And that means from here, they will actually stretch to there and back again. And sorry, I'll go back again. If you start looking at composition labels, every garment by law has to have a composition label. It will tell you what's in your garment. They have to have them. So any jean, one of the standard compositions is that it's 98% cotton or other fibers. So it could have tencel in it, it could have polyester in it, but it's the hard fibers are 98, only 2% lycra in there, and that's what gives the stretch. So in terms of the amount of it in there, it's not very much. But what it's doing is basically allowing you to wear skinny jeans or tight jeans. And without that technical innovation, that fashion trend would never have survived. So just to talk about sustainability a little bit, we did a survey together with Refinery 29 this summer. They are a lifestyle platform based in the States. Their main audience tends to be younger women, so millennials and Generation Z. And basically the respondents are saying what you will all say in the room, that sustainability is now absolutely critical. It's high up in their thoughts. 86% of young women were saying they're stressed by the environmental situation, and 68% think it's one of the top 3 things they ought to be thinking about. So from it being something not so important, people have been talking about sustainability for years, it is now top of their agenda. And where people want to improve by their plastic, but also textile waste is up in their minds. So how are we going to deal with the idea of you buy, you use, you throw away? That cannot continue at the rate it is at the moment. We are basically burying Africa in our used up clothes. They don't want them anymore. We are just sending out used garments that we've worn a couple of times, send out to Eastern Europe or Africa. We've got to start taking, using, recycling far more. So as a company, we're a massive big fibre producer, as I say, of an oil-based product. We're not the heroes in the world. But as a company, what do you do when you're a big, massive company making fibre? We've got a 3-tiered platform. One is corporate responsibility. And that is, if you are a big company making a fibre, make sure the people who are working for you are in a healthy, safe environment, they're paid well, and they have a good lifestyle. In fibre making, it's not so crucial because it's not so labour intensive. We don't have sweatshops, we have big factories. The second thing you can do as a big fibre producer is make sure what you're doing well. So if you're going to make something, make sure you don't pollute the environment. If you're going to do something, make sure you minimise your energy and water usage and look at how you're getting your energy. And the last thing is to make sure that what you're making is sustainable itself. And sustainability for us all in this industry is a journey. We're not there yet. We will probably never get there, but it's a journey that's taking us forward. And as I think people will say today, rather than do nothing, do something. So don't stop doing something just because it's not the ideal solution. And that is the path we're on as a company. We're a great big literal oil tanker. And how do you change the direction of a great big oil tanker? It takes time, but we're moving incredibly fast. So we're looking at waste reduction, we're looking at screened products, we're looking at increased garment wear life. If only we wore our garments a bit longer, that would massively reduce their carbon footprint. It's something we can all do. Don't buy, wear, and chuck away. Reduce your usage of energy and use renewable resources. The Lycra T400, so this was the sort of Frankenstein stretchy polyester. We do have an eco-made version of that, which uses, it's a yarn that's shaped like a snowman. It's got a head and a body. The body part we're making from recycled plastic bottles, post-consumer, and the head part we're making from bio-derived, so not oil-based product. Now, an announcement we also made this summer, when I spoke at the beginning of our presentation on Coolmax and Thermalite, their polyester products, we are announcing that as of the end of next year, so we're starting now, we're a fibre producer. We are not going to produce 1 more tonne of polyester. There's enough polyester in the planet to keep us going forever if we reuse it, if we keep it moving. So polyester is quite easy. You can make it into a garment, you can recycle it, you can make it into a plastic bottle, you can recycle it, keep it moving. We are going to source all our Coolmax and Thermalite products from recycled bottles for now. And as I say, we used to have a recycled bottled version and a normal version, but in sustainability, you've got to move from just having a little sustainable product and a normal product to making that built into your business model. So that's the only way to get costs down, and it's the only way to make your business sustainable. So from having an eco version of Coolmax and Thermalite, it's going to be built into our production. And as I say, from this year, it's going to be recycled plastic bottles. The future, so the bigger step, the transformation, is when we start getting polyester from post-garment recycling. And we're working with a lot of companies to try and get that loop, closed loop, moving better. Again, what Michael talked about earlier, we are under so much pressure from everybody to get certifications. So one of the certifications we've got is from Ecotex, and this is to do with hazardous chemicals, use of, polluting, what are your chemicals, how are you using it, are you polluting the environment? So our factories, our 6 factories, have been certified to meet this detox initiative, which is a Greenpeace sponsored. This is the one I'm more proud of than the Lycra Eco made. So this is a certification we have from the C2C organisation, Cradle to Cradle. You'll hear that a lot. That means closed loop. That's the Eleanor MacArthur Foundation. That is use, take, use, reuse. So they come in, a bit like Ofsted going into schools, and they go through you like a dose of salts. They go through all your factories. Where are your chemicals coming from? Who's supplying them? Are they clean? Are you polluting the environment? How much water are you using? How much henna are you using? Where are you getting your energy? We have got gold certification now for that product route in all our factories for all the yarns we use for denim. And there's no other elastomer producer that can say they've got that. We're heading for platinum level, which is the highest level by the end of the year. And we're also going to all our products across range. This is my last slide, because I didn't want to bore you. But it's, as a fibre producer, what are the challenges we're facing, and what are we trying to do about them? So I've just put 3 down. 1 is cost. I spend my life talking to retailers, and they all talk the talk. They've all got targets. They all want to do this. They all want to do that. But they all want to do it at cost neutral. So you've got to supply them with fibres that are sustainable, but they don't want to pay a penny more because they say consumers are not prepared to pay a penny more. An example I just wanted to show you today, in 2014 we launched a bio-derived Lycra. So I say our products come from oil, and that tends to be a bad guy. Oil's not good. We want things that are more natural, so we want them from bio-derived sources. We launched this product made from non-food grade corn. How much did we sell? Nothing. We sold not 1 ton. Because no one was prepared to pay 30% more for that. And that's what it cost us to make. We were cutting margin, we were trying to get it out. That product didn't sell. Cost, again, all these certifications that we've been talking about, it costs us $55,000 just to get the C2C people to come out to see you. And then you've got all the different retailers going, well, I want this certification, and I want GRS, and I want this, and I want that. It's all cost. So it takes time, it takes money, and it takes a lot of effort to get these certifications. We know we're an ethical company, but you have to prove it these days. You have to go out and meet people's standards. And what we do as a matter of course, it's surprising how many other people don't do it. So we're having to spend a lot of money, but to prove that what we're doing is as sustainable as possible. And the last thing, which is technical hurdles, and this is where a lot of work's going on. It's the exciting part. We're trying to get a closed loop future. So from being a producer of fibre to a producer of a garment to something that ends up in landfill, we want to make it so that you're making the fibres usable again. Now, up until now, Elastom has been a bit of a bad guy because to recycle jeans, you can put them into a big machine. It's very low tech. They have big metal claws, and those machines rip those jeans to shreds, and you can actually then respin the cotton. And there are people doing that. And Elastom is a bit of a nightmare because it's a rubbery, horrible fibre. There's only 2% of it in the garment, but it blocks all that mechanism. So if you want to recycle jeans today, Elastom is not great. And when I talk about how many jeans today are stretch, I'd say roughly about 80% of women's jeans are stretch and about 50% of men's. So a lot of jeans out there have that little 2% in there that's mucking up all those garment recycling things at the moment. What we're working with, and we've got several partners on this, and we're nearly there, is actually chemically recycling garments. So you basically would put your garment into a big machine. That machine will be able to get out all the different components. So all the cellulosics, they'll come out as this new hybrid. It's not cotton. It'll be a mixture of cotton tencel, all the rest of things. All the cellulosics will come out as this new cellulosic. You can get polyester out really easily. The elastomer, because it's only a small part, that comes out with the gunk at the end. And the gunk at the end is dirt, silicon, dye stuff, and the elastomer. And it's only a small amount. So we're looking hard at this gunk, because what we want to do from the gunk is get our polymer out of it, so that we can then take it back to the factory and respin it. The problem with elastomer is that our elastomer is not the same as our competitor's elastomer, so it's not like polyester, which is polyester. Lycra is different to our competitors. So from this sort of dirty gunk at the end of the process, we've got to get our polymer out and then try and respin it. Now, at the moment, that process will work, so we're not blocking the recycling anymore. But to get that gunk, get our stuff out of it, and then get it back to the factory to spin it, we're not there yet. We're working hard, but we're not there yet. And that will be the big step. And it's coming. And the big question I will leave you all with, because it's the one that the industry is stuck at the moment. There's all sorts of sustainability initiatives going on. Everybody's working on it. But to get garment recycling, and that's what we need to get, somebody has got to build those factories and feed those factories. So nobody at the moment is prepared. The technology is pretty much there. But nobody's prepared to put the money up to build those factories because they're scared to death. And why are they scared to death? Because those garment factories will need feeding with garments. So we did a quick calculation on a phone call the other day. Our smallest polyester production is 350 tons. That's the tiny little production line we would have. To make 350 tons of polyester, you need 15 million garments. So those machines will need feeding with 15 million garments 24 hours a day, every day. And that's what's panicking people. So no one's prepared to put that money up to eventually get that garment loop closed. Should retailers do it? Should fibre producers do it? Should governments do it? Who should do it? And that's what I'll leave you with.
Thank you so much, Helen. Please stay on the stage. We've got an opportunity to definitely ask some questions. So who wants to ask some questions? Please raise your hand. Go on. Oh, some questions here. Okay, I'm coming to you. Oh, you got it?
Hello. In your opinion, do you think recycling clothes is just a stepping stone to a new fabric that can be completely compostable or biodegradable?
No. I think the problem with biodegradability, and we've looked into it a lot, you can biodegrade. We can make a Lycra tomorrow that you could biodegrade. All you need is a little enzyme additive in there. You have to work out how much, because if you put too much in, it starts biodegrading when you're wearing it. And if you don't put enough in, it doesn't biodegrade. The trouble is what's inside the fibre. So all garments are dyed. All garments have oils on them. All garments have chemicals on them. You biodegrade something, you're leaching all those chemicals into the earth. And that's not a good thing. Lycra, we have titanium dioxide is a pigment in it. It's a white pigment. Dye stuffs, heavy metals. There's lots of polluting chemicals in anything that's dyed. So I think rather than stick things into landfill, and remember, you dig up Egyptian mummies that still have the cotton and the linen fabric around them 2,000 years later. So anything that even says it's biodegradable, it has to be in very particular conditions. Otherwise, you can't chuck them in your garden, stick a hole, put them in, and they will biodegrade. It just doesn't happen. The other thing you've got to think about is zips, buttons, polyester thread. You would have to design a whole garment that would have to be compostable, and it would have to be white, not have any zips, not have any buttons, not have any polyester thread, and be utterly biodegradable. So I think the route forward, and most retailers have gone through this loop, they've gone through this thought pattern, and have decided that the best way to move forward is actually to recycle the garments. Get the materials out and reuse them, keep them moving. Don't stick them under the ground. It's not a solution.
Okay, another question from the crowd. Okay, could you please stand up as well and then ask your question? That would be great for you.
Okay. Where are your factories in the world? Where are you producing?
Yeah, we have one in Northern Ireland. That's the one we use for most of Europe, which is why we're looking at the Brexit situation very closely. We have factories in Brazil, 2 in China, 1 in Singapore. We've got 6. So Northern Ireland, Brazil, Singapore, China. There's another one somewhere. Can't remember. Sorry.
Any other questions, guys? Any other questions before we have a little break?
America. Sorry.
America. Oh, there you go. Okay, I've got a question. Obviously, we talked about like recycling garments, and I find obviously when it comes to rivets and buttons and things, that's a big hurdle, isn't it? When you're recycling garments,
Yeah.
and you get people actually manually cutting those things out.
Yeah.
So that's a process that needs to, obviously I know you can get
Yeah.
buttons and trims that can pop off much more easily, but
Yeah.
there's a problem where
There are. People I know who are taking denim at the moment and taking garments, they tend to just cut them there. That's the easiest way. So at least you're doing the leg.
So there is wastage still. They're not using the top part. It's
No.
like they just
No, because that's where all the rivets and the zips
Right.
are. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think, guys, any more questions before we have a little break? I know you guys are eager to have a little break. So we're going to come back about 11:15, half an hour. Please do come back. We're going to have Andrew Ola speaking. We're going to have Jacob from Dystar speaking, and also Alberto Candiani as well. So 1:15. Okay.